I used to see the transformation in 3 short months or 4 months of them working hard, and see them come out at a finale show sort of thing. And I used to just wish for that moment. I used to always think, you know, it'd be wonderful if I could have that moment of suddenly knowing what it's like to be thin.
Forget about cardiovascular capacity or, you know, or max VO2. This is just a guy going from the bottom to the top and not giving up. I freaking love that.
The first time when I saw him, he's just a huge guy, and yeah, his name Jelly Belly, and oh my God, I never see the guy that big before.
I guess the program gave him hope, giving me enough hope to start to make the change. And then with the way it went on the show, he came back and then was just determined to show that they shouldn't
I'm going to show them. I'm going to get that. I'm going to be.
It's been a sort of a chain of events rather than one specific one.
Late 20s, and I'd done loads of different jobs. I was starting to get big, and I was thinking of what I could do, and I seemed to have a good sense of humour, people said, and I thought, hey, what a better way of making a living than being a sort of like an idiot, a clown really. And I started to just put things together, start doing some magic tricks, and created the wibbly wobbly world of Mr. Jelly Belly, and sort of created a job to stay fat.
Allow myself to introduce myself. I'm Mr. Jelly Belly. If you think I'm really smelly, shout out. Shout out! If you think my clothes are funny, once again, everybody shout out. Shout out! I don't mind. I'm happy all the time.
I remember holidays to France, and every evening Garry would put on an act. He would perform for us and everybody else that happened to be around. So I think he was a born entertainer, that is actually in him, I think.
I was just living life badly. Yeah, I was just living life really badly, and I wish I hadn't. I could have saved myself a lot of grief, but it's like a defense mechanism when you start putting on weight as well. Sometimes, you know, if you've been hurt or something, you don't want to be hurt. You make it so that no one can love you sometimes.
Garry's father and I split up, then he met Anthony.
He was about 10 then.
Yeah, and I guess Anthony's sort of been like his dad ever since and been there for him. He became sort of, I say, a little bit rebellious at times.
Lowest time in my life, I lived on the streets. When I was about 16, 17, I was thrown out of the house. Some counsellors had told my parents I had to feel as low as I possibly could before I would want to turn my life around.
Maybe if we'd all stayed together as a unit, I just don't know whether it would have made any difference. All I know is that when we were together, he did go off on drugs, he did all sorts of things. We couldn't get through to him.
It had the reverse effect, that did. The lower I felt, the worse I felt about myself, the lower I would go into what I was doing.
was quite a large chap when I met him. He was, in fact, Mr. Jelly Belly at that time. So that wasn't an issue for me. I didn't fall in love with his size or his shape. I fell in love with his personality, what was inside. So for me, he was Garry, regardless of how big or small.
We were living in Peterborough, basically in the UK for 5 years. Then we got married, and then we came over to Phuket for honeymoon, and just fell in love with Phuket, and both made the decision that we wanted to leave the UK and start fresh over in Asia. So that's basically what we did.
Certainly thought that here's a place to start a new opportunity and a new lifestyle moving to Phuket. Didn't particularly think about the weight loss. Having said that, I just assumed we'd lose weight because I thought everybody only ate fish and rice and, you know, wouldn't be a problem. But soon to learn the expat lifestyle isn't quite like that, and yes, the waistline grew rapidly on both of us actually.
I just basically got caught up in the lifestyle here, and the food's fantastic, and I started putting on a lot more weight than I thought I was going to do, and it was too hot to exercise, and I never exercised anyway. So let's be honest. No one actually ever told me the truth. You know, everyone would say, "Oh, you're big boned. We love you just the way you are."
Watching Garry grow fat, sometimes we got really, really worried about him. But in many ways, I couldn't go to Garry and say, "Look, no, here guys, you're getting fat." Because Gary's very sensitive. I'm very sensitive. And I felt if I told him how fat he was, for whatever reason, I would hurt his feelings. And the last thing as a mother I wanted to do was hurt his feelings. And I guess mainly because I felt guilty that I broke up with his father, and a lot of his problems I think stemmed from back then. So I guess I did the wrong thing by not being honest with him.
I always wanted to lose weight. I was getting older, and I was turning 40. I was getting sleep apnea, so I was stopping to breathe in my sleep. Jackie used to worry during the night. You know, I used to snore so loudly, and then suddenly she'd say for like 30 seconds or 45 seconds, nothing. And I knew it wasn't healthy. So I would try all the diets that there were for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then I would get bored. You know, it took you many years to put on the weight, and there is no magic wand that's going to say, but, you know, that it's gone. I found that because you had so much weight to lose, if you didn't see results, you'd just give up. You just give up, and you just go, oh, you know. Or the phone rings and your friend says, oh, I know you've been on a diet for 7 days, but, you know, we've got a barbecue tonight. You know, come round. You go round there and you go, oh, I'll just have one. Okay, I'll have a beer and I'll have a hot dog, and you're back to square one again. So I always knew that I was someone that if I was going to be able to crack this, I needed to be able to be taken out of my comfort zone, put somewhere and said, get on with it.
Garry was always happy on the front. He's always the smiley one in the crowd. He does tend to wear his heart on his sleeve when he's with very close friends. But when his weight got to the maximum, yeah, he was pretty unhappy, but he would hide behind it, easily hide behind it, and a lot of people didn't see that. some of the people that are more close to Garry know that he was perhaps not as happy as he could be, but you had to get really close to find that out.
I used to go to fast food chains and I used to order food, and then I used to pick up my phone and pretend to talk to a friend to clarify what their order was, so that I would order twice the amount, order another meal, pretending it was for a friend on the phone, so the person behind the counter didn't think it was all for me. And then I would take that food and go and sit in my truck and scoff the whole lot. Where was I? Koh Phangan at a full moon party. My friend said, you know what, mate, you're a fat bastard and there's a programme coming, you should audition for it. You'd make great TV and you need to be on it. I had a fantastic couple of friends, Eva and Blah, and they said, let's make an audition tape. We filmed an audition tape, sent it in to the Biggest Loser website. We got a phone call the next day from it being uploaded, and they said, is there any chance that you could come to KL for an on-ground audition on a Saturday morning?
I was stoked. It was really exciting. I think all four of us, Jackie, my husband, and I, and Garry, I think we all felt as excited as he was. It was as much an accomplishment for us as it was for him. And it was really exciting.
On the Friday before that, Jackie was going back to England, and I also had to do a beach party here. And I knew I was going to be, and I was going, oh, shall I get, I was saying, when I was talking to whoever was on the phone, I was saying, does it have to be this Saturday? I was, you know, I've got so much on. And I was going to back out. I wasn't going to go. I knew that I'd be an absolute mess after DJing a party on this all night. But in the end, I could feel the old part of me wanting to give up and get that far and go, oh, I'm going to fail again anyway, so what's the point of going? I might as well just stick to what I'm doing, you know. But something just went in my head and said, no, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. You've watched this show for years. You've been inspired, you know, by watching it. You know, I would watch it, and even if it was for a day, I would get up and do something, you know. It never quite ignited the me to lose weight, to be inspired, if you know what I mean. It was one of those, I always wished.
At that point in time, if that was what he needed and that's what was going to help him, fine. But I guess I'm like a lot of people that are very sceptical about reality shows. You know, they don't make reality shows out of the goodness of their heart for people.
They're termed reality shows, but they're about as far from reality as you can get. And I think that the exploitation side that you're talking about really
is playing with their emotions.
Yes,
I think
they put them
basically
in artificial situations.
Yes.
They create artificial things around them to get responses from them, and from that point of view, it's exploiting them. But I mean,
but I guess in the end,
they did a lot of good for him as well.
They did a hell of a lot of good for them, and I think they did a lot of good for a number of the contestants.
So I got picked, yes. I was living in a house with 15 contestants, all from all over Asia. And you would think that being with overweight people, that you would think that you would feel comfortable. I remember there was an incident on the show where we had to go into the swimming pool and everyone else had taken their shirts off and I still wouldn't take my shirt off. around other people that were larger than myself. I just had this real conscious thing. And every week when you weighed in on the show, you would have to take your shirt off and stand on the scales in front of millions and millions of people around Asia. And to be able to do that when I was so insecure about myself sounds really petty. But that was really, really hard. And I found, when we were on the show, I was on the red team, and we were training for 8 hours a day. I was the oldest contestant. The others were a lot younger. And we basically worked out 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening. You had challenges during the day. It was really intense, but it was what I needed. And you're also it's not just losing weight. It's you get eliminated, obviously, from the show, so you have a fear of that the whole time. You're trying to keep everyone happy. 6 o'clock in the morning, be in the gym. I had blood on my feet. I had the wrong size trainers, but I didn't want to complain. I just wanted to keep going. There was other parts of it that were just inspiring and a wonderful, wonderful experience, and certainly an experience that I will never ever forget, because it was my turning point in my life now. And for that, I will always thank them. £100,000 or prize money can change someone's life. Would it have changed my life if I had won it? Probably not. Would it have benefited, would have I had a good time on it? Hell yeah. But I didn't see the prize money as my goal. My goal was to walk out on that stage and make my wife's jaw drop and make her proud of me. Unfortunately, I was eliminated too early, really, for that impact to happen. But when I did come back and I landed at the airport, I'd lost 14 kilos in 4 weeks. And I saw Jackie. She was waiting for me when I came off the plane. And it wasn't the impact that I wanted. I wanted to have been thin. And I came back and I was very, very scared. Because I'd been in this bubble, losing weight, and then I was back in my real life all of a sudden with no support network. And it was make or break time.
We watched him on TV for a few weeks, and then Jackie told me it was back 4 weeks into it. And the first thing I thought was, oh no, it's just like a pain in my heart, because I knew how much it meant to Garry and also to Jackie. They were both so into it and so excited before he left.
Was I going to go back to my old ways? Or was I going to move forward with everything that I had learned? And something came along. Great health club here, RPM Health Club, gave me an opportunity to say, hey, you want to continue? Come here. And they gave me a trainer, and I knuckled down and I took everything I learned, cooked healthy, and started changing my life.
He was very forthcoming with information about where he'd come from, and showing photos and talking about his past and how he got on the show and what happened on the show, and him getting kicked off and coming into the club and basically doing it all by himself, essentially, especially without the show. And so, you know, I felt as though there was someone there that had worked their butt off to achieve what they'd achieved, but was still devoid of a lot of information and correct training strategies and nutrition and so forth. So, you know, I just sort of tried to help him out and keep him motivated and give him little goals along the way. I found out there was other people in the club that were helping him out, which was great. And so that's how we first met. But it's funny. It seems it's only been like 4 months, but it seems 5 months seems so much longer.
So actually coming back off the show and doing it on my own, I did it in a much more relaxed and in the real way that you would do it. You know, the show's really great if you want to have a quick fix because you're trapped. You know, you can't go anywhere. You wake up, you are in the gym. You come out of that gym, you might sleep for an hour, and then you're back in the gym. Of course, when you come back to the real world, you've got all the temptations around you. So,
where are you when we call? I'm on the bicycle, I'm jogging, I do my swim, I do this, I do that. He's pretty busy with his exercise. And good for him, good for him. Because at that time when he quite healed, I thought he might get heart attack one day. But now, no way. He really strong man. He's stronger than me. Nowadays he can run pretty far, but I can't.
It was after we'd done the Laguna Phuket half marathon together. It was probably a couple of weeks later, and he must have said, like, you know, so, you know, what do we do next? And I said, well, you know, there's the Laguna Phuket. I said there's the Laguna Phuket triathlon. I said, but that's full, so we could aim for the half Ironman, which is a week later. I said, you already know how to run a half marathon, right? So we just have to add a 2K swim and a 90K bike. And he said actually Debbie from Laguna wants me to participate wants me to be involved in the Phuket triathlon. I said, oh wow. I said, I tried to get enroll in February and it was full. And he goes, maybe if I get you as my coach, if you coach me, I can say, well, I need my coach in the race. We can do the race together. I said, fantastic. I said, and then I said, but I really want to do the Ironman as well. I said, maybe we should do both. And he goes, can we do both?
In for a penny, in for a pound. And so Darren said, yeah, well, let's give it a go.
From the moment we said, this is what we're doing, we had naysayers, people who had no background in whether it could be done, no background in fitness, no background in triathlons, no background in exercise science, no knowledge of his aerobic capacity, no knowledge of his mental strength. Yet they all wanted to comment.
There's a big difference between exercise and training. You're training for a specific event or distance which you've got to get to. And it's a whole new world, and I was very, very flippant when I'd lost all the weight and I was on a high and I was trying to set my next goal. And you know, after I ran the half marathon, after losing the weight, setting my goals then to be the triathlon and the Ironman 70.3 here in Phuket, I was like, oh, I can swim, I can do a little bike ride, yeah, I can run, yeah. Put them together, the difference is huge, it really is. And I thought I was quite a good swimmer, but try and swim 1.8k and then jump on a bike for 55 and then jump off that and then do 12-kilometre run.
I said, no longer are we worried about losing weight. If you cross the line and you weigh 80 kilos or 90 kilos or 110 or 50, you still cross the line. And if you don't cross the line, regardless of your weight, you didn't cross the line. I said, we are no longer eating to lose weight. We eat to train, not train to eat.
The triathlon was just another training exercise. That's all Darren kept saying to me. Just told me to take my time and enjoy it. I knew what I was doing. I've been trained really hard for this, so I got there, I started pumping up my tyres on the bike, and my bike was next to all the professionals. I felt a little bit out of place, but it was really funny. I laid all my things next to my bike out. Felt good. Once I'd finished prepping my bike and getting myself ready, we headed off to the start. I just needed to speak to Darren to calm me down a little bit, make sure that I was well prepared. I felt good about everything. I'd been trained for this, so this was just part of a practice for me, you know, mentally, because my actual race was the Ironman.
750, right?
Celebrating his 83rd year and 60th year as
In the last 8 kilometre, drink everything, right?
Yeah.
Then when you get off the bike, you run till you got, okay, I've only got 3k from here to Surin, right?
Yeah.
From Surin to Fantasy. Get to the first aid station. You're out of the limelight.
Yeah.
You're all done. Start loading up.
As I ran into the water, you know, running in with 1,000 people, it's quite daunting. It feels very much like you're in a tumble dryer, actually. As you start trying to just find your own pace in the water, you've got a lot of people that are you know, are coming past you with their arms and they're smacking you down and, you know, hustling, bustling in the water, and you've got to try and stay calm. I felt very relaxed running towards my bike. I was feeling good. I was feeling really, really good. I was just taking my time. Took my bike and headed out on my 55k bike ride. And you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought, really. I had a few blisters on my feet, but that was because of wet shoes and trainers. I didn't have the right equipment. I felt positive. I never thought in a million years that I would be able to put a run and a bike and a swim together like I have, but I did.
And here he comes, former Mr. Jelly Belly, first time Laguna Phuket Triathlon finisher Garry Holden.
As I was finishing the run,
oh yeah.
To be honest with you, I didn't feel as tired as I thought I was going to be, and it certainly wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, because really I saw the triathlon as a training session to get me ready for the Ironman 70.3. I took the triathlon exactly how Darren told me to, and I took it as a training session, and I was really, really happy with how my training session went.
Without you, buddy, without you. One down, don't want to go.
On the beach in the marquee, we've got
I decided to join him on the half Ironman because I shouldn't have to go through it alone. There's some competitiveness in there too, but you know, aside from that, overall, we really wanted to share the experience of training for it together and to be able to compete out there. Although we probably won't be side by side because he is surprisingly faster than me these days. You know, just to be out there sharing the track together is going to be quite an experience, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Just been kicked off a year ago, and so he'd lost a little bit of weight, but he was still a big overweight guy who was kind of lost, I guess, because he'd been kicked off. And I did not think he was going to become an endurance athlete, you know, and go into all this hardcore training like he has done. And I was a little bit worried about his emotional state because he's a real softie.
My only concern is that the half Ironman he's doing is just a week later. I know he's planned it with his trainer so that it's supposed to happen that way, but I personally have concerns that after finishing a triathlon, a week later to do a half Ironman will be pushing it.
I think he might make
himself,
he may make himself ill, but I think he will finish both of them.
Imagine rocking up on the first day of school with everyone else, but unbeknown to everyone else, you'd already been there the day before and had a private tour with the principal where all your classes were, how to get from one classroom to another, who the teachers were, you met them individually, you sat down and had lunch with them. Imagine that. Imagine turning up on the first day of school with everyone else, but everyone's nervous, and you go, yeah, did it yesterday. I said, that's exactly what LPT will be to your Ironman.
You know, when my family were here and we were having a day trip out, he did a quick half marathon in the morning before we all set off. So I don't know many people that would get up and run 22k just before they're going on a day out. But it's Garry, doesn't do things by halves. He may feel like death afterwards, he may be crawling to the finish line, but he's going to do it. Absolutely, he's going to do it.
Felt a lot more professional, the Ironman. There weren't so many people just out there thinking they could just wing it on the day. This felt like a different level, and this to me really was the test. I was excited to be taking part. I was nervous. I felt a little bit out of place because I didn't look as trim and as fit as all the other athletes, but I was there. To me, the Ironman wasn't just about taking part in a race. It was about how far I'd come. A year ago, from appearing on The Biggest Loser. What a year! I did 45 kilos weight loss. I ran a first half marathon. I took part in a triathlon. And 7 days later, I did an Ironman 70.3. was a journey. For the first time in my life, setting my mind to something, following it through, and finishing it. When you set your mind to something, you can achieve it. And don't think that you ever can't.
Allow myself to introduce myself. I missed Jelly Belly. If you think I'm really smelly, shout out. Shout out! If you think my clothes are funny, once again, everybody shout out. Shout out! I don't mind. I'm happy all the time. Because
by the microphone, we're going to have to do it all again.